bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans, wide with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet
North Alabama is full of adventure. If you love food, we've got it. If you love festivals, we've got them. If you love the outdoors, we've got plenty of places to explore. Whatever you love, we're sure to have something for you. For all things North Alabama, check out northalabama.org.
It's bow time. You've probably heard folks say, don't call it a comeback. But at Bojangles, we don't like to beat around the bush. So when the sizzling, savory pork chop griller's back in all its tender, marinated, chili lime glory, and you can snap up 2 of them for $6, go ahead, call it a comeback. Get 2 legendary pork chop grillers for just $6, only at Bojangles. It's bow time.
With a house surrounded by pine trees planted in 1961, April and I knew it was time to do something about it. So we called James Paul. With over 25 years in the business, James Paul Tree Service offers their knowledge and experience, along with honesty and dependability, which gives you peace of mind when it comes to tree removal, tree cleanup, and clearing. Give James Paul a call at 256-777-0711.
Before they fall, give James Paul a call.
For those of us who are directly responsible for the care of loved ones, we want to do the very best we can to take care of them. This is where estate planning is so important. With estate planning, you can still take care of your loved ones even when you're gone. I encourage you to make a plan by going to BIAAEstatePlanning.com. Harlan Mitchell has all the tools you need to make a solid plan for your family, just like I did. That's BIAAEstatePlanning.com. Make a plan and do it today. No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the legal services performed by other lawyers. Boutique Air in Muscle Shoals, Alabama offers direct flights to Atlanta and Pensacola. Boutique Air service runs twice daily, 7 days a week with fares starting at $59. Follow Boutique Air Muscle Shoals on Facebook at Boutique Air MSL and book your flight through boutiqueair.com. Boutique Air,
where you can fly private for the cost of commercial.
Hey everybody, this is Daryl Worley, and you're listening to The Mark White Show. Hey, step up and make a difference like he does.
This old world is full of hurt and pain. A little sunshine and a whole lot of rain. It don't take much to drive those clouds away. Let's all do something good today. You never know what someone's going through. Don't underestimate what you can do. A friendly smile's a tiny price to pay. Let's all do something good today.
welcome to another edition of the Mark White Show. I am glad that you can be with us as we talk to Susan Connors with the Brain Injury Association of America. It was 1 week ago that Mr. William Bill Mealback tragically lost his life. I had gone back to his Facebook and looked at a fundraiser he had done for his birthday back in June. He was doing a fundraiser in honor of the Brain Injury Association of America. He lived with a brain injury himself, but he cared about those who were living with brain injuries enough to start a fundraiser. and his request was $200. He wanted $200 to go to the Brain Injury Association of America. When I saw that fundraiser, I knew that there was something that I needed to do to try to help move this forward in honor of Mr. Mealback. And I started a fundraiser for the Brain Injury Association of America in honor of Mr. Mealback. Over the past few days, you all have come together in a very special way, a big way, to raise $2,000 for the Brain Injury Association of America in honor of Mr. William Bill Mealback. I reached out to the Brain Injury Association of America, asked them if they would be interested in coming on the show to talk about their effort to bring awareness to brain injuries and to do this in honor of Mr. Mealback. Right now, I do have on the line with me Susan Connors. She's president and executive director of the Brain Injury Association of America, and I would like to welcome her to the Mark White Show now. Welcome to the Mark White Show, Susan Connors.
Oh, Mark, thank you so much. We're so grateful to you and to Mr. Mealback and to all of your listeners for not only for the donations, but for helping us increase awareness and understanding of brain injury. Mark, imagine not knowing the difference between a hairbrush and a toothbrush and a paintbrush, or forgetting which goes on first, your shoes or your socks. Brain injury can change the way a person thinks, acts, moves, feels. And with more than 3.5 million people sustaining brain injuries in the U.S. each year, chances are someone you love will be injured at some point. And that's when you'll want the Brain Injury Association on your side.
As we talked about before we started the interview, when someone starts a fundraiser for the Brain Injury Association of America, it means something to you all. To have someone like Mr. Mealback start a $200 fundraiser to help others because he's going through a brain injury himself, to actually think, this is what I live with, and I want to help others in the process. That really is an amazing step for a person to think outside of themselves, to think about others who are having a similar experience.
That's absolutely right, Mark. And as I mentioned to you previously, that's what tells us that we're on the right track, that what we're doing is the right thing, that when individuals who have sustained brain injuries and their family members support the Brain Injury Association directly through their own contribution or by asking others to support this organization, we know that we are providing what they need and what they want, that they have trust and faith in us to help them and to help others as they go along the pathway, this journey through brain injury recovery. It's really remarkable.
And Susan, I noticed that through the Brain Injury Association of America, the main chapter, there is a gentleman right now who is walking in honor of brain injury awareness. It's really amazing that you have people like that. And he's a former police officer. And of course, that ties to the tragedy that happened last week, as we also lost Sergeant Nick Reisner from the Sheffield Police Department. But here we have a former police officer who is making a journey well over 2,000 miles to bring awareness to the Brain Injury Association of America.
One of the things that the Brain Injury Association does is sponsor March as Brain Injury Awareness Month each year. And every few years we select a new theme. And our theme for this year is More Than My Brain Injury. And what we have done is highlight the hundreds of thousands of individuals who are out there making a difference in their community. Yes, they may have sustained a brain injury through a slip and fall or a motor vehicle crash or a gunshot wound, or, the number of ways to get a brain injury is enormous. But what they have decided is to help give back to their community, often by supporting the Brain Injury Association, but also just by driving awareness, because people need information, they need resources, they need training, they need advocacy. They need the Brain Injury Association to really be their voice, to amplify what their needs are nationwide. So that's why we just are so touched with people who engage with our awareness campaigns and who support our efforts to raise funds to help everybody nationwide.
So when you heard about Guy Pelote and hiking the Appalachian Trail to raise awareness for brain injury, and you know, as you described, not knowing the difference in a toothbrush, a hairbrush, the difficulties that these people face with brain injuries, to think about Guy doing this for your organization, how does that make you feel personally?
It's remarkable. It honestly is. Every time someone donates to Guy's fundraiser, we write a thank you note to that person, and I have told every single one of them how touched and grateful I am that they are, that they're supporting him and they're supporting the Brain Injury Association. It's a double whammy, if you will. They're sending a signal to him that what he believes in is important, and they're sending a message to us that, hey, we want you to continue doing what you're doing. We want you to spread your efforts even further. It's personally very rewarding, frankly.
Susan, what I want to do is take a quick break, and when we come back, I want to actually talk about how the Brain Injury Association of America can help families right now who are going through having a loved one who has a brain injury, and how people can be a part of this effort. Because as you described, people may not think about brain injuries as they do with, say, cancer or kidney disease or other issues that people might have. And I do cover a lot of subjects on this show, Susan, and so I'm more than happy to be able to bring awareness to brain injuries today in honor of Mr. William Bill Mealback. Will you stick with me?
Absolutely.
Folks, we're talking right now to Susan Connors. She is President and Executive Director of the Brain Injury Association of America. We're doing this show today in honor of Mr. William Bill Mealback. I want you to remember his name. I want you to remember this amazing fundraiser that took place over the past few days that raised $2,000 in honor of those who are living their lives with brain injuries in honor of Mr. Mealback. I hope you'll stick with us as we continue to talk to President and Executive Director of Brain Injury Association of America, Susan Connors. You are listening to The Mark White Show, and I'm your host, Mark White.
Something good today. A little wink, a pat on the back, a big old hug, a little laugh. We can make a difference. All we have to do is try. Every day's a chance to change somebody else's life. Let's all do something good today.
It's bow time. You've probably heard folks say, don't call it a comeback. But at Bojangles, we don't like to beat around the bush. So when the sizzling, savory pork chop griller's back in all its tender, marinated, chili lime glory, and you can snap up 2 of them for $6, go ahead, call it a comeback. Get 2 legendary pork chop grillers for just $6, only at Bojangles. It's bow time.
North Alabama is full of adventure. If you love food, we've got it. If you love festivals, we've got them. If you love the outdoors, we've got plenty of places to explore. Whatever you love, we're sure to have something for you. For all things North Alabama, check out northalabama.org.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the legal services performed by other lawyers.
Losing a loved one is hard, but losing a loved one and not having an estate plan is even harder. Attorney Harlan Mitchell witnessed what not having an estate plan can do to families and decided to use his experience to do something about it. I encourage you to go to BIAAEstatePlanning.com or give Harlan Mitchell a call at 256-216-9884. Again, that website is BIAAEstatePlanning.com. Let Harlan Mitchell help you with estate planning. Do it for those you love, and do it today.
Experience the difference at Athens Bible School. The vision and purpose is to provide each student a quality education in a Christ-centered environment to develop the whole person spiritually, mentally, physically, and socially in safe and supportive surroundings. The solid biblical foundation permeates learning and culture in the classrooms and every extracurricular activity.
Thompson Roofing and Construction is a locally owned family business serving the North Alabama and Southern Tennessee area. They are a Better Business Bureau A+ member since 2011 and a GAF Master Elite contractor. Give them a call at 256 888-952-3309 or check them out on the web at 256roofing.com. They offer free inspections.
Thompson Roofing and Construction.
Mr. Cecil Batchelor is the one that started this business as Dependable Service Center. And even though now it's Green's Dependable Hardware and we're a True Value store, our tagline is still Your Dependable Service Center. We've tried to keep that alive for all these years. Mr. Batchelor really started a good business. We're really excited to be carrying on a long-standing tradition. It's the oldest retail store in the city of Russellville. We're Green's Dependable Hardware, 15220A Highway 43 in Russellville, Alabama. We're right behind McDonald's or right across the street from the hospital. Number is 256-331-0123.
Your Dependable Service Center.
Hi, I'm Crystal Gale, and you're listening to The Mark White Show. And one smile can make a difference. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Someone loves you, I do.
He drives into the city, works extra hard all day, finishes up early so he can get away. 'Cause there's a blue-eyed kid on second base, wants Dad to watch him play. Daddy knows he's waiting, so he hurries.
Welcome back to the Mark White Show. I'm glad that you can be with us. At the onset of the show, I told you that this show is dedicated to Mr. William Bill Mealback. Mr. Mealback lived with a brain injury, and he tragically lost his life last Friday in Muscle Shoals, Alabama. I wanted to honor Mr. Mealback in a special way, and I found out that he lived with a brain injury, and he cared about others who were living with brain injuries as well. So we started a fundraiser, and that fundraiser over the past few days has raised $2,000 for the Brain Injury Association of America. I reached out to the Brain Injury Association and connected with Susan Connors, who's the president and executive director. Right now, she's on the line with me, and I would like to welcome her back to the Mark White Show. Welcome back, Susan Connors.
Thanks very much, Mark. I'm glad to be talking with you and really bragging about what the Brain Injury Association does for people with brain injury and their family members.
Absolutely, because when this tragedy happens, something happens in a person's life that gives them a brain injury. Suddenly what was normal, the behaviors that we went through on an everyday basis change, and it's altered. And I can imagine that there are caretakers, loved ones who are wondering, what do I do? How do I help this person that I care so much about? I want to help, but maybe they didn't have the tools in place. Maybe it was something that they had never thought about, and now they are put into a situation where they want to care for this loved one, but they're just at a point where they don't know what to do.
Sure. Well, as the nation's oldest and largest brain injury advocacy organization, BIAA's programs and services really help people who are living with brain injury and their families. It ensures that they have a place to turn, a place for resources, a place for support when times are really tough. And the times do get tough through the long journey of recovery and for many years to come. You know, a brain injury can bring about physical changes, cognitive changes, thinking differences, behavioral changes. And it's not easy for the person who's been injured, and it's not easy for the family caregivers either. One of the programs that we offer, our main program is called National Brain Injury Information Center. And it's a nationwide telephone system where, and I'll give you the number so your listeners can write it down. It's 1-800-444-6443. That's 1-800-444-6443. And people call that number during business hours. It's not open 24 hours a day, but it is open during all business hours, and to get individualized, personalized assistance with their whatever questions, information, resources they need. They call that number and they get help. Secondly, the Brain Injury Association provides all kinds of books, pamphlets, classes, online classes, in-person classes to help train family caregivers on all of the different aspects of brain injury. We have a course, it's called Fundamentals of Brain Injury. It's Brain Injury 101. We often have scholarships for the classes to take so that people don't have to pay a lot out of pocket. And it's a fantastic course. We also have just right now on sale right from our website for $7 is a guide for families who are caring for people with moderate to severe brain injury. It's called the Practical Guide, and it's just chock-filled with useful tools and information and resources and ways to help with everything from medications to toileting to behavior problems to, how to carry on the rehab that happened in the hospital or in a rehab program, how to carry that out at home. So it's a fantastic little publication and it costs $7. That's what it costs us to produce it. So it's not something that we're making money off of. So those are, just a small example of the things that the Brain Injury Association does directly for individuals with brain injury to try to help them navigate through, especially the early years of injury.
Being a former police officer myself, Susan, I recall having calls because an individual had slurred speech or they were having a difficult time. The people that were there actually thought that the individual was intoxicated. They didn't realize that the person actually had a brain injury. And after investigation of the call, I found out that that was the situation. There are times when we as people who don't have a brain injury and say, okay, this is a situation that they live with. They are a person who is having a difficult time, and we need to be able to help them, to support them. I guarantee you right now, that guy who's on that walk, if you talk to him and he has a brain injury, there would be something different that you would notice. But you're talking about a guy who has stepped up to the plate, walking over 2,000 miles in honor of brain injury victims, if you will, because of his own personal situation. He once was out there on the street as a police officer serving our community, and now he has a difficult time, whether it's slurred speech or anything like that, that we need to have an understanding of what these individuals are going through.
One of the most frustrating things for people with brain injury is to be told, but you look fine, because brain injury is an invisible injury. So, the notion that you look fine is hurtful in some ways because it makes people think that you're faking it. But what you've led to, Mark, is one of the most important pillars, if you will, of our other programs and services, which is advocacy. The Brain Injury Association of America is a strong proponent of a bill that has been introduced in Congress that would provide training to first responders. So EMTs, police officers, firefighters, anybody who's on the ground in the public, serving the public, who may encounter individuals with brain injury. This would be a grant program with the training and funding sent from the federal government to the state, to police jurisdictions to help them train anybody who's really serving the public in a first responder capacity to recognize a person with a brain injury and to offer constructive ways to help that person so that we don't mistake the person for being intoxicated or belligerent for sort of no good reason.
So, Susan, the bill is currently before Congress. Is that correct?
Yes, it was introduced in the last Congress. It will probably, because we're coming up on the end this year, so it'll probably be introduced again. It's called the First Responder Training Act. Anybody who's interested in this can visit our website at BIAA USA.org, and they can learn more about it. And I'll put a special link on the homepage of our website so people can find it easily.
It's interesting that you brought that up because last night I was with the chief of police from Huntsville Police Department in Huntsville, Alabama, and also was able to meet Mr. Gary Palmer, who's a congressman here in Alabama. And so as people think about those connections and think about those that represent them on the national level through Congress, this is something that they can do to make a call to their congressperson and say, I would like to see this bill passed.
Right. Absolutely. If you come to our website, biausa.org, and just type in brain injury education for first responders, and you probably could just get it from first responders. You'll learn more about it. It's a $4 million program that would go to the Justice and Mental Health Collaboration Program to fund grants to develop and implement training. It would create a toolkit. It's called the Support the Traumatic Brain Injury and Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder Law Enforcement Training Act. That's a big mouthful, but it's basically training first responders on TBI and PTSD.
That sounds like something we can all get behind. As a police officer myself, I sent myself to training on my own dime a lot of times when I found something that I wanted to try to learn more about. I think that's just great. So I appreciate and applaud the Brain Injury Association of America for stepping up to produce a bill like this to educate first responders and to help those who are suffering from brain injuries.
Well, yes, thank you. And the thing that I particularly like about it is what it does is it takes federal money and it sends it back down to the state where it can be, I mean, if we tried to do a training program from the federal level, that would never work. But getting it right back down to your local jurisdictions for this training that's how it's going to be successful. That's how we're going to get, if you will, the cop on the beat. The first responder in the local fire department or your local EMT. That's what we like about it. It directs funds locally.
Well, it sounds like you're the person to lead the way with a background of being executive director of the National Association of State Head Injury Administrators from 2001 to 2005 and national director of state affairs. And you've been involved with several federal agencies, universities, and nonprofit organizations. So you are in a position to use your talent and experience to help move this forward. And I hope that people listening right now will get on board. And I really didn't think it was going to go this direction. But when we have something that's in place that's already before our Congress, this gives people, individuals, an opportunity to say, I want to help this effort.
Right. Well, I'll tell you what, I would love it if more people got engaged in advocacy. That's really sort of where my heart is, both at the state level and the federal level. Nothing will change if we don't get Congress to act. But there's plenty of things that Congress could do for first responders. There's plenty of things they could do to get a better count on how many people actually sustain brain injuries. For example, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention tells us that it's about, 2.75 million people who sustain TBIs in the U.S. each year. But they absolutely know that is a huge undercount because of all the people who sustain mild brain injuries who, when the injury first happens, they don't go to an emergency room or they don't go to a primary care physician. They don't report the injury. And it's not until weeks and months later when they still have headaches or dizziness or nausea or any of the other symptoms of a so-called mild brain injury that they finally begin to look for help. So this is a huge problem in America that has gone undercounted and underrecognized, misdiagnosed and misunderstood for 40 years. And I am so grateful to the individuals with brain injury and their families who are trying to help us increase awareness and improve advocacy. But I need people who haven't been injured to get on board as well. I need people, just because you care about the issue, to engage.
I tell you, Susan, I have well over 100 people right now who took a step to be an advocate in honor of Mr. William Bill Mealback. I looked at it as being an advocate for him and the life that he led with a brain injury, and to extend that to others thanks to him. This is just the next step in that process. I'm seeing this right now as I'm talking to you, is that where do we go from here? That's the question. After you raise $2,000 for Mr. Mealback and you do this in his honor, is that it? Or do you take another step? And I think that's something that people who donated, who contributed, this is maybe an answer to that question.
I would love it if they would take another step, if they would come to our website, if they would sign up on our website and tell us what they're interested in. It's a very easy sign up. You can give us your name and email address, and you don't have to give us any more information, but if you want to give us more information, you can. You can go down a list and tell us the kinds of subjects and topics you're interested in. You can visit our Support Us section of our website to talk about all the different ways that you can engage. There's lots of different ways that people can help the Brain Injury Association, help others. You know, helping us is really helping. You're working through us to help others.
Susan Connors, it's been a real pleasure to have you here on the Mark White Show to represent Brain Injury Association of America as the president and executive director. And it means a lot, I know, to Mr. Mealback's family as we honor him and dedicate this show to him and this amazing fundraiser that raised $2,000 for the Brain Injury Association. So thank you for joining me here on the show today.
I'm delighted to be here. Thank you.
Folks, you can make a difference. Mr. Mealback's fundraiser was a small way of making a difference in honor of Mr. William Bill Mealback. It was a way to make a difference in the lives of others who are battling brain injuries. I want you to find an opportunity to make a difference in this organization. Do it in honor of Mr. Mealback. Do it in honor of Guy who's walking across the Appalachian Trail. Do it in honor of someone you love and care about. I want you to go to BIAUSA.org, find out where you can be a part of the Brain Injury Association of America. Here on the Mark White Show, we're recognizing difference makers like Mr. Mealback. We're recognizing difference makers like those who are involved with the Brain Injury Association of America. And if this show means something to you, if it's impacting you, I want you to share it with your family, your friends, and your neighbors. You can follow The Mark White Show on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn, and subscribe to The Mark White Show podcast via Apple iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, AudioBoom, SoundCloud, Blueberry, YouTube, and TuneIn Radio. You have been listening to a very special edition of The Mark White Show dedicated to Mr. William Bill Mealback. And this is Mark White, encouraging you to find your purpose by making a difference in someone's life today.
Who live and love in my hometown. These are my kind of people.
Located in Tuscumbia, Alabama, the Alabama Music Hall of Fame honors Alabama's music achievers. You can even go into the recording studio and try out your talents as a singer. That's the Alabama Music Hall of Fame, located at 617 Highway 72 West in Tuscumbia, Alabama. Open Tuesday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Give them a call at 256-381-4417. Check them out on the web at alamhof.org. With a house surrounded by pine trees planted in 1961, April and I knew it was time to do something about it. So we called James Paul. With over 25 years in the business, James Paul Tree Service offers their knowledge and experience, along with honesty and dependability, which gives you peace of mind when it comes to tree removal, tree cleanup, and clearing. Give James Paul a call at 256-777-0711.
Before they fall, give James Paul a call.
Boutique Air in Muscle Shoals, Alabama offers direct flights to Atlanta and Pensacola. Boutique Air service runs twice daily, 7 days a week, with fares starting at $59. Follow Boutique Air Muscle Shoals on Facebook at Boutique Air MSL and book your flight through boutiqueair.com. Boutique Air,
where you can fly private for the cost of commercial.
Is it time for a haircut? Go see my friends Philip Butler and B.H. Parker at Southwind Barbershop, located at 1637 Lee Street in Rogersville, Alabama. Give them a call at 256-247-5658. That's 256-247-5658.
Oh, won't you hear me, people, when I say, well, let's all do something good today.